Hey, what's up, y'all? Welcome back to Questions and Answers, a series where we're just taking some really important foundational truths about following Jesus and what it means to be a Christian, and we're asking the questions that need to be asked and giving you answers to help you grow in your faith and help you be able to share your faith more effectively. Today's question is this: why am I here? Or you could say, why did God create me? And the answer to that, if you've been around youth for a while, you might know is going to be summed up in this phrase: you were made to glorify God. But it's deeper than that, and we need to understand it on a deeper level than that. And so first, let's just talk about this. God created us, male and female, in His image, so that we could know Him, love Him, live with Him, and glorify Him. And because He made us, it's right, and it's only right, that we live for His glory. Genesis 1:27 says, "So God created man in His own image. In the image of God, He created him. Male and female, He created them." And so that means you and I, we reflect something about God. Just by existing, we reflect something about God. And every human is made to point to the greatness of our Creator. But what does that mean? Let's be real. The idea of living to glorify God probably sounds like a pretty churchy idea that maybe you don't know how to unpack. So let's break it down. Glorifying God basically means showing the world how awesome He is through the way that we live. It's how we treat people, how we handle hard situations, how the way that we love, the way we forgive, show kindness. All of it's about pointing people to Jesus, pointing people to God and His glory. If you think about it like this, when something's made in the image of somebody, it's supposed to reflect them. So if you think about a statue, right? So Tucker, Matt, and I got to go to Detroit recently and see my favorite hockey team. And I know y'all don't care about hockey, but I love hockey. My favorite hockey team plays in Detroit. And all around the stadium, they have statues of the great players in Red Wings history, right? And it reflects who they are and what they've done. And that's what a statue is meant to do. It's to reflect the image of the person that it was made for. But then I think about, and maybe you've seen this online, Cristiano Ronaldo, really famous soccer player. They made a statue of him and had a big reveal. But when they pulled the sheet off and he saw it, it was horrible looking. It looked nothing like him. He had like big horse teeth and just horrible looking. And he was mortified. You could tell he was really bothered and disturbed. Now, it turns out that was just a prank they were pulling on him. That wasn't really his statue. Pretty funny stuff. But that statue, if it were real, it did a poor job of being an image of who it was created for, right? And so when we were created in God's image, we're not to be a poor image of who God is. We're meant to reflect Him and His glory. You were not an accident. That's an important truth in this world because the methods of science and even the methods of the enemy to try to destroy you in your thinking are going to make you think you have no purpose, that you were an accident, your life doesn't matter, and that's just not true. It's a powerful, powerful truth that you are not an accident. You were lovingly and intentionally made by Creator God. So when you're good at things like sports or music or school or whatever it is that God has gifted you to do, it is meant to be done for His glory, pointing people to Him. We were made for relationship. God made us male and female, and so we see that we were made for relationship in the form of things like marriage, things like family, friendship. We were made for relationship. God didn't just create one human. He created Adam, and He said it's not good for man to be alone, and He created Eve. And from there, procreation could happen. They could have babies and fill the earth with more humans so that we could exist together. Living for God was always meant to be a shared thing. We reflect God best when we love each other, encourage each other, and live in community. John Piper says this: "It's not good for man to be alone. who's he going to glorify God to, right? And so our point of even relationships between each other is together to glorify God. The gospel is the brightest picture of this. If you really want to see what God's glory looks like, look at Jesus and know that God chose to glorify himself by sending his only son to death so that we could be restored to relationship with him. In 2 Corinthians 4:4, it says that the glory of God is seen in the face of Christ. Jesus dying on the cross for us is the ultimate expression of God's love and perfection. And when we look at Jesus, love him, and live like him, we start to be transformed into his image more and more. We are meant to be the image of the living God, glorifiers of him forever, and that is why he created us. That is why we are here. We'll see y'all next time.